Well, hey y'all. Day 15. I am finally back from vacation. This is the third vacation I've taken this summer, and I am ready to get back to work and pretty much spend the whole month of July trying to finish this thing. So I actually recorded this part before I left for vacation last week, and this is that trim piece on the slide that I never finished putting back in, and I definitely wanted that back in just in case it rained while I was gone. So y'all know I just clean it. I just clean it with some alcohol, and then I put some new butyl tape on it. And then after that, I pretty much just put it up there and put the screws back in. Nothing too crazy about it. Same thing y'all have seen me do a million times. There's about 12,000 trim pieces on this camper, which I feel like that's pretty standard, but when you have to take them all off, it just makes it seem like a whole lot. So I'll pretty much just line this up to the same spot it was before, and I'll get back around to getting some roofing tape to put on those corners to kind of hold them together before I put the little square piece back on. But I don't have any roofing tape right now, so for now, it's just going to stay like that. And then this has a whole bunch of screws underneath it, so I'm just going to run all those screws in. And then this should be watertight and ready for me to go to vacation. And it didn't leak, so that's good because it did rain while we were gone. So this morning when I came out to work on the camper, I was walking past the camper and I found this little thing in the yard. And I was like, what in the world is that? And y'all, I have never seen a crawdad in my yard before, but there it was, just hanging out near the camper. So I think a raccoon must have brought it in or something. It probably got pinched and then just let it go in the yard. So I threw him back in the creek behind us, and he'll probably get eaten by something else. So my main goal for today is to get this awning back on. I've finally got the awning fabric in, so I can go ahead and do that before I start working on the floor on the inside. Now this is me just spraying down that track that the awning slides in. I just use, it's just a lubricant. I think it's actually technically a slide lubricant, but you want something that when you put it in there, debris isn't going to stick to it. So definitely get something like that. Now this specific one I'm using is a CRC Power Lube in a green can. Works really, really great. So I do highly recommend using something like that. But again, any lubricant should work. Now next I'm just taking this awning out the bag, and I'm trying to figure out which orientation I need to put on the front of the camper. So my goal is if I put it all the way out on the front and then I'll just slide it through the track. I've done this several times before by myself, and it's really easy if your slide track is lubed, and if you kind of just keep working at it and slide it in all the way, it really, I make it look easy, but the first few times I've done this by myself, there's definitely some trial and error, but I've got it down to pretty much a science now because I do everything by myself because I'm too stubborn to. All right, while y'all are watching me slide this in, let's talk about the size of awnings real quick. Because this awning is technically 15 feet long. Okay, but when you go to buy an awning that's 15 feet long, you actually are technically buying the 16. So what you want to do if you're replacing your awning is measure the actual length of your awning and buy the actual length. So for instance, this is a 16-foot awning that I bought, but it's only 15 feet. So definitely make sure to figure out the actual length of your awning so you don't buy an awning that's like a foot too short, because that would be irritating and not worst case scenario, but still that foot can kind of make a big difference. All right, so now that I've slid this thing all the way in, I have a set screw that I actually didn't take out of the track on the other side, so I know where this awning needs to stop. And it's not really an official science, I guess, on where the awning stops, but I'll adjust it once I actually put the arms on, which you'll see me do in just a second. So this is the roller tube right here for the awning, and I'm just spraying that down with the Power Lube too. And there's two tracks that this is going to go in because it has a little flap that rolls up. Some are like that, some are not, but it really just depends on the type of awning that you bought. Now, same thing, I pretty much just line up the tracks and slide it in. And I know exactly where this is supposed to go because I made marks on it before I actually took it all apart. Just makes life a little bit easier and kind of takes the guesswork out of it. If I was smart, I would have taken the other side off because I have a fence right there, and it's hitting the fence, but you live and you learn. So I'm just making my life a little bit easier by doing this. I put it in the wrong track the first time, so I moved it back around and then basically you just put it in and slide it through. I mean, you see how easily the thing slides in. Once you get it in the track, it's really not too complicated and hard to slide it in by yourself. And now I bet you're wondering, how do I know where to stop the awning? So I did not clean this roller tube, so I can clearly see where my dirt marks are. So that is just a little tip. Don't clean it. So it'll make your life a little bit easier to try to figure out where the awning was positioned on that roller tube in the first place. Now right now I'm putting these arms back on. You need the arms on in order to attach the bottom part, this roller tube, to the actual awning arms itself. So this is just two lag screws that go into the upper track right there. So I'll put it on one side and then basically go to the other side of the camper, the front part right there, and put those two lag screws in as well. And of course, while I was putting this lag screw in, I dropped it, but luckily my middle child was there, so he comes over and saves the day. And typical of any boy child, I'm like, it's right there, it's right there. He's like, where is it? Where is it? So I point to it with the awning arm and he finds it and then decides he wants to throw it up at me in typical boy fashion. I don't know if y'all's boys are like this, but mine are all like this. So he tosses it up and it was a good toss and I catch it so I can keep moving on. So this is the part of the arm that's on the inside. There's kind of like an outer and an inner. So basically this clips onto that little bracket there. That little one clips into the bottom and the whole thing just slides up. There's a little black bracket that holds the two pieces together. Next, I'm putting the spring in. I'm lining it up with the holes that I already made before I took the awning off, so I know exactly where this spring is supposed to be positioned. And enter my child again with his big old head hanging out. So I said, shoo shoo. And then, so these do need to be riveted in. I need to go look at what actual size this rivet is. I don't remember, but I know it's a medium rivet. I think I tried the shorts and the shorts were too short. So these, there's 3 rivets, 1, 2, 3. This is just a special riveting tool. You can buy it literally anywhere. So rivet all of these in, and once these are riveted in, you can move on to actually winding up your spring, which is something that I really used to hate doing, but I've done it so much that it's not so bad. I also got dirt in my mouth there, so that's what I was doing. Anyway, so I don't have as much irritation about awnings as I used to, just because I've had to take so many of them off. Now I need to move this ladder because it's in the way of my awning arm, because I'm going to extend this awning out. So we got a nice fireman walk of the ladder here. This is a really tall ladder. I've moved this thing by myself a gazillion times, so this is just the best way to do it, because I know I may look like a little person next to that ladder, but I assure you I am almost 6 foot tall, so this is a really tall ladder. Anyway, so I'm clipping that arm in right there, and then when I come on the other side, I'll bring the actual arm part out, and it slides into the top of that arm. So there's like a little bracket there that it basically slides into with a bolt. So I'll do the same thing on this side, bring the arm down, and then move the awning out, and then put it right in its little bracket right there, and it fits perfectly. Now it's time to wind the awning up. I remembered from the last time, I think it was 12. I probably maybe could go 15, but I'm going to try 12 first. You wind it the direction you want the awning to roll in. So I want it to roll in and not the other direction. I have wound it the wrong direction before in the past, so don't do that because it'll roll the wrong direction. Anyway, so this is just a pair of vice grips that I'm using to hold it. The other side is in the locked position, so make sure the other side is locked or else it'll spin out on you. So you do one side and then I come over to the other side, and this is where I can really start to feel the tension on it. So you do the same amount on this side and then you'll put it into the arm just like that. And there's one screw, I think it's like a 1/4 inch bolt actually. And you're going to want to put that in before you roll the awning up, just to make sure that it doesn't come out. And you will just want to hand screw these in first. Don't strip it or anything like that. If you can't screw it in directly, get those vice grips like I have and kind of move that arm up and down to get it in the right spot. All right, next I'm going to test it out. and put this awning up, and it rolls in pretty good. My only complaint, I actually got it pretty close, is it's off just a little bit at the top right there. So it needs to come to the right side just a little bit more. So in order to do that, I basically just grab one side of the awning and pull it over. And that's gonna straighten the whole thing up. And I know I don't need to do it a lot, just a little bit. So I'll move it over a little bit and then roll it back up and see what happens. And it locked right into place. So you'll see me check both sides to make sure that it locked into place and the arms are flat against each other. And that's exactly what we want. All right, last step of the day, I need the ladder again. So I'm going to set this bad boy back up. And there are these things that I put on the ends of the rails at the top. Those things are called gutter spouts. And basically what it is, it's like a rain gutter for your camper. So when it rains, instead of the water going basically just down, straight down on your camper, it will actually bring the water out toward the camper, away from the camper actually. So water doesn't just pool on the sides of your camper. There's going to be one on each side, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I put those in, and then I actually left the screw out on the last piece of this trim. So a screw goes through the whole thing so it won't move. And I have to put that in last because I need to be able to slide the awning in. So I didn't want to have to put it on and then take it off again just to get the awning in. I also realized there's been a raccoon in the camper, so that's going to be fun. And then there's this toilet sitting outside, and it looks really gross, so my OCD can't handle that, so I had to flush it. Anyway, I'm looking forward to working on that floor inside tomorrow, and I'll see y'all then.